Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry at the Movies with your host Jerry Saravia. Today I'm briefly going to talk about a film that seems to have premiered on video on demand called Get-the-Gringo. And this is a film, as some of you may know, that stars Mel Gibson. And Mel Gibson plays the character of the Gringo, also known as Driver, or Jack Sanders. And he's convicted and sent to a Mexican prison for stealing money from a crime boss. And it is in the prison that he meets a 10-year-old boy who's special because he has a rare blood type, and a Mexican crime boss in the same prison needs his liver. So it is up to the Gringo to save the boy's life and break out of prison. Now, I mentioning this film because it appears it is the first Mel Gibson film that I know of that premiered on video on demand. They didn't get a U.S. theatrical release. As a matter of fact, it got a U.S. premiere with that coincided with a 10-city same-day tour with Mel Gibson, who, by the way, wrote this film, appearing at Austin's Alamo Drafthouse Cinema with co-star Kevin Hernandez and director Adrian Grunberg. Then the other 9 cities screened the film and received a satellite feed of the Q&A, but it did not get a regular U.S. theatrical release. Instead, it appeared on video on demand. And Mel Gibson said, well, that's the era that we live in, and many people just like to see things in their home, and that's the future. This was the first publicly released film exclusively through video on demand services in the United States. And it got a exclusive preview window on DirecTV on May 1st before it was released. And it has or it came out on Blu-ray disc yesterday, so today's July 18th, it came out on July 17th. Seems to have gotten positive reviews, and it seems like it's the kind of role that Mel Gibson used to play in his sleep. Original title was How I Spent My Summer Vacation, which threw me at first because that was the title I thought of some sort of a summer camp comedy and never really read up on it. So what happened here? How come a Mel Gibson film like this, which is high profiled, has a decent cast? Peter Stormare is in it. Stormare. What happened here? I think some have alluded to the fact that, well, maybe it's karma's a bitch. That's what Entertainment Weekly film critic said, who reviewed the film. And Mel Gibson has been saying a lot of hateful things for the past year or so, and then, of course, back in 2006 with his anti-Semitic comments, that this kind of ruined him in a way, and now this is the way things are going to be. So I don't know if that's the case, if the production company, which is Icon, I believe, that made the film or put it out, that they are afraid that people just won't turn out, because last year he did a film directed by Jodie Foster called The Beaver, and that film just barely made $1 million at the box office. And people certainly knew about it, but nobody really went to see it. So Edge of Darkness came out in 2009, 2010. It was a mild success, but it wasn't the kind of success that Mel Gibson used to have. So I don't know the reason why this particular film, no reason has really been given aside from the fact that Mel Gibson seems to think, well, it's the way of the future, but I don't think he wants all of his films to be shown on video on demand first and foremost, and then DVD or Blu-ray, and never get a theatrical release. However, this film was shown in Israel in March of 2012 before reaching 22 other countries over the next 6 months. And in the UK, the film was released under the original title of How I Spent My Summer Vacation. So far, as of July, the film has taken in $4.5 million at the box office. So maybe they should have given it a chance. But again, in this country, it's assumed that this man is a bit of a problem. because of the hateful rants and ravings, and he's, Mel Gibson has changed. I don't know what happened to this guy. I like Mel Gibson, but as an actor, sort of as a director, but in general, something happened. It's not the same Mel Gibson was voted sexiest man alive from People magazine back in the 80s, and this was the guy who, in many ways, was up in that stature of sexy guys like Harrison Ford, and anyway, that's the price you pay, and especially in this day and age where everything can be recorded and sent out, and with such immediacy all around the world that within a few seconds people can know what it is that you've said, especially if it's a phone conversation between you and your wife and you're spewing such hateful nonsense. So who knows? I mean, I don't feel bad for him, but at the same time, Mel Gibson is Mel Gibson, and prior to this 2006 incident, we do know that back in the 90s, he was painted as a homophobe for things he had said in an article about gays. So he's been through this thing for quite some time, but it's not to say he didn't harbor such sentiments long before we even knew how deeply he felt about these type of things, about Jews and gays and blacks and so on. So, oh well, I don't know. What's interesting is Mel Gibson has a role in a film that is currently filming called Machete-Kills, which is a sequel to Machete, the Robert Rodriguez film from 2010. So, the guy is still working. And, that film will probably be out in theaters, so I guess we'll see what happens. But audiences are a strange breed. They either forgive or they don't. Depends on how much it bothers you. Many celebrities go through this thing on a daily basis. Tom Hanks can say something about World War II and get in some hot water. Matt Damon says something about Sarah Palin. Mel Gibson it's another story because he made some fairly harsh, vitriolic statements, and again, some of them without his knowledge that he was being recorded. Only he should have known better. We should all know better, even in the privacy of our own homes. But anyway, be it as it may, I'm curious to see this picture at some point, so I'll definitely let you know what I think of it whenever I do get to see it. But it's interesting. No actual reason has been outlined thus far that I know of as to why Get-the-Gringo premiered on VOD, video on demand, as opposed to theatrical release. But we'll see. And until then, this is Jerry the Movies with your host Jerry Saravia, signing off.